Hey, you know what it is. It is the BTonez podcast back again, and I know you see unfamiliar faces on the screen, but you know, if you come to this channel and you watch an episode, you are going to get a good word. And today is no different. I'm online right now with two of my brothers I met down in Tampa Bay. They each have their own unique stories. They're each being blessed in magnificent ways. They both have the drive and the same type of mindset that I have as far as progression, as far as development, as far as being the best person that you can be. And ultimately, that's what we're here to be. If we be the best version of ourselves and serve the people that God put us here to serve, then naturally everything will come to us because that's scriptural. Seek the kingdom, everything else will be added unto you. I got my brother John here, who I spoke about in episode 9. I got my brother Greg here, who I nicknamed Gregory from up front. He's going to explain how he got that name. Definitely want to go to John, and I'm going to give a little bit of intro to my brother John Soba. This is my big brother now, if y'all didn't know. You can already see the resemblance. There's so many positive things that are about to come out of this conversation. I was on that pool deck. I got a blessing that came out of nowhere, but the person that started the blessings had just gotten baptized on that rooftop was my brother John Soba. So John, I just want to hand you the mic. I know we talked a hell of a lot that night, and then after that, Greg, get in where you fit in, and we going, man. This is the organic. John, how's it going?
Oh, blessed and highly favored as always, and let me just say, everything starts with gratitude, and I am grateful for both of you brothers. I'm grateful for you, Bradley, to give me the opportunity to just share, the anointing, to just share the gift that I received. And it actually started the night before. Some of the brothers that we wanted on weren't able to make it, but I met this brother Adam 2 nights prior, right? When I got over to the conference, we got to talking, and it was just organic, right? That's the theme. It was just natural. We just started a conversation. He's like, I don't care what you're selling, just give it to me. I want to buy it. Like, we linked up again. It was after the first night at the conference, and I see him talking to 4 other brothers, and I went ahead and just got in the mix. I just wanted to say hello. At the end of the day, I realized that I don't know what happened. I was in a circle, or what I consider, where I'm from, we call it a cipher. I'm in this cipher, and I'm talking to Brother Jarvis, very amazing brother. And I'm talking to him, and little by little, the cipher turned into just this conversation between him and I. I sort of leaned in with an aggressive love to tell him that his gift wasn't given to him for him, it was given to him for others. And what happened was that created a catalyst where I started talking about the things that I've gone through in the past 2 years, from everything from losing my father to separating from my wife, to all kinds of things that happened. And all of these things happened in a way to where I ended up at that conference. The point here is that I didn't understand why. I don't know these brothers, yet and still I felt at home, at ease enough to open up. I'm not a person to just give out personal information. Let's just put it that way. I'm very reserved with that kind of thing, because my biggest life lesson has been never to burden someone else with my things. But what I learned that night is that my burden is a potential gift to someone else. And I was touched in a way that allowed me to just open up and give these brothers this information. The doors to heaven opened and allowed me in. I wept like I haven't in years in front of these 4 brothers who didn't judge me, didn't criticize me in any way, and just embraced me. And I gave my life over. Like I said, you know what? It's not my weight to bear. And that's when it started. It was the night before. And that night we decided that the following day after the conference, we would go up to the pool deck and I would surrender my life to Jesus. That's how I met you. Yeah. I remember you telling the story in one of your previous episodes, how you went to dinner and then you wanted to go to the pool deck and just speak to your Father and the Most High. And all of a sudden you walked into this congregation and I was in the middle. soaking wet, hugging everybody.
It was a wonderful experience. Wonderful to hear how the brothers embrace you, because that's what happened to me that night. And it was funny how that gift just kept being passed around, because from that point, Gregory came into the circle and he brought this young lady who we had never seen before, and her head was down, her body language was looking, like she had been through something. And I jumped at the opportunity. I was like, oh, we praying for you, because whatever just fell on John fell on me. And since I got it, I'm coming over there. We praying right now. Let's go. And I was filled with like so much joy, because I knew whatever she was dealing with was about to, be overtaken. And I met Greg earlier that day because he had gone up on stage in the Offer Mastery Live. So when I saw him up on stage, I had seen all the participants, but when I saw him in the lobby, like when we were breaking for lunch, he came up and he was talking to Rod, who was on the previous episode. And then when he was doing that, I was like, oh yeah, man, you Gregory from up front.
That's right.
He was like, Gregory from up front. I like that. That's and he pulled out like a video and told me to repeat it. And so I said it again on this video. So I'm gonna shut up, because Gregory hasn't said nothing yet. And I know this brother got a lot to say. So Greg, man, talk to me, man. Tell me about the events that led up to, what we're talking about, man.
So what's crazy is I'm looking at this little screen on my phone with my 40-year-old eyes, and I'm like, this dude looks familiar. He said it was people from the roof. And I know John, but John looks different from that day. That day, John changed, right? John became whatever God gave you as a new name. And it shows today. Like, you were glowing different then. When you talked about weeping, I couldn't tell if you was wet from the pool or your own team. So let's just say,
absolutely,
man. The way I ended up at Offer Mastery was I've been watching Myron for 3 years. I was like, this dude is not gonna sell me nothing. I'm gonna get all the stuff for free. And then he did the interview with David Shands, and it was like, you can't get the thing that you need to get. Like, you're not gonna become the kind of person that can charge high ticket if you don't pay high ticket. And I was like, oh man, now I'm convicted. Now I gotta buy something. And then they're like, as a matter of fact, you can hit this link and, join Offer Mastery Live. And so I was like, I don't know if I want to spend that much money, because I know he's got like this, these high ticket coaching programs. And so when I was like, let me just check it out. Let me see what it is, instead of just assuming. When I saw that it was only $1,000 to go to Offer Mastery, I was like, done.
Let's go.
And then I was like, but if I get general, I'm playing small. How's that a mirror to my life? Let me upgrade, because if I don't get that platinum ticket, I'm going to regret it. It's that I have the money to do it. So why not invest a little more in myself so I can go a little further?
Come on, say that.
Rod was one of the first people that I saw on a Facebook post that said he was going to be there. So I went to add him on Facebook. He's like, listen, man, I don't add people on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. First person I see when I pull up for pre-registration. But we ended up having like some deep conversations that weekend, and like some revelations that happened in our hotel room, but we kept missing each other. I understand the value of networking and meeting a lot of people. And so while I'm there, let me meet as many as I can, because that's going to lead to a lot of opportunities. It's about making the time to do it. Now, you mentioned Gregory from up front, and I want to talk about that story because he mentioned that he needed 5 volunteers for the stage, and I ran to that stage. There was like at least 12 people, and I just walked up on the stage. I saw like, how is this a mirror to my life? He gave the opportunity, but when you're on stage, like, you don't see anything else. I'm not looking at all the people in the crowd. I'm not thinking like, what are these people thinking about me? How do I look? While I'm up there, I'm listening with a dying ear to learn. That's kind of a mirror to my life. Like, I wait until it's almost too late to do a thing, and I'll get, $5 worth when there's 100 on the table, there's 20 on the table. I have the opportunity. I know I can reach for it, but I'll wait until it's almost too late. And then when I get it, I'll turn to the person and be like, you know what? I don't need it. You can have it.
Like, the thing that I want to bring out the most is just the blessings that have come from, returning from that type of event. And this is one of them. We're experiencing it right now, this type of conversation and collaboration. And the authentic thing is I remember Myron was speaking about, he's like, there's some people here who are more focused on the transaction rather than the relationship. It has to be about the people first. People have to buy you. They have to learn about you before anything can come to pass. And if it doesn't, don't even worry about that. Focus on the relationship, so much so that by the time you finish making all these friends and ingratiating yourself with so many personalities, the business will just naturally come, because that's the natural effect of it. And one analogy he used was, he's like, it's like me running up to a woman and saying, "Hi, my name is Myron. Will you marry me?" Like, off the break. She doesn't know you. And of course she's going to say no. And it's the same way with how these relationships formed at the conference, because people had that mindset. It wasn't about, at least the people I met. And I know that is what is consistent with you and John based on the conversations we had. John, like I stated in the testimony, he opened up his room to me. Prior to that, I was roughing it. I've done this before for recreation. You know what I'm saying? So why wouldn't I do it for my development? To try to get into the room. When he did that, man, we had a great rap session. We was up to like 2-something in the morning. He blessed me with a sports jacket that made me look like I had just golf course. You know what I'm saying? I was in that joint looking clean as a mug without a big old jacket, but it fit me. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, this is crazy.
How interesting is that? So real quick, the sports jacket. You're like, oh, I left my suit. I'm like, that's no problem. I never expected the suit to fit you, that sports jacket to fit you the way that it did. It was perfect. I'm a very particular person. I'm very particular about my things, right? Mm-hmm. I say that to say this. I reserved a king size suite, not a room with 2 queen beds. Like, in my history, anytime that has happened, I make it known that it needs to be corrected. If I pay for something, I want what I paid for. Yet and still, it was like nothing. I had the 2 beds and I was like, it's okay. I didn't even think about, oh, well, I need to get this addressed. So for me, it's like that veil lifted from my eyes saying, hey, you're worrying about something that has absolutely no sense. You're trying to basically work on something that's not yours to be worked on. Ooh. Just leave it alone. Let it be, because I'm working. Like, that's what I got from that. Because as soon as I heard what was going on that pool deck, and then all of a sudden you're like, nah, because, I didn't know I was going to sleep maybe in the car or on the floor, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. I have a spare bed. And then it just clicked. Oh, that's why I get it now. You're, the biggest prankster and jokester, I guess. Like, the Most High knows exactly why I have that other bed. Here you go. And then look at what's come from that. The gift for me wasn't just the opportunity to give. I'm 43 now, and I've spent my whole life in service to others. And I've had a lot of different issues and circumstances arise because of my way. I've never been able to stop. Even if I try for a little bit of time because of external influences, I just fall back into being able to just give to other people. It was the last night. I took Sister Miriam over to the airport. Her flight was delayed, so we ended up going back. No problem. We went back and forth from the hotel back to the airport and so on and so forth. But how things progressed weren't short of amazing to me. Yeah. Around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, something around there, I drop her off at the airport. She's like, I'm just gonna stay in the airport because my flight is gonna leave in the morning. I'm driving back and I'm like, oh, I could use a drink. And I see these bars and I'm like, man. And I look down at my gas gauge. I'm like, oh, I need gas. The bars went away. I had to go get gas. This young brother comes up to me, says, can you help me? Like I said, I grew up in New York in the projects, so I have that other. So I look at him, I said, what do you want? Like, because right away, because I don't know this guy, this brother had just come out of jail, drove down from Connecticut and needed gas money. I told him, listen, don't worry about it. I got you. And then he started talking to me. He's like, God is always good. I said all the time. And I look at him and I'm like, are you a brother in faith? Like, do you believe? And he's like, absolutely. but Most High always blesses me. I said, I need a picture with you. And I go, I fill up his tank, give him a couple of dollars. We talk a little bit. I give him my number. Said, listen, just call me. I make it back to the hotel. And I don't know if you guys remember, I can't remember her name, but it was the older lady in the wheelchair.
Monica Black?
Or Monica. So she's there. She had been waiting for hours. 3 different Uber lifts or something like that had basically not gone to pick her up to take her to her hotel. And I happened to get there exactly when they were like, we don't know what we're going to do.
Wow.
So I get there. I go ahead and I say, no, don't worry about it. I'll drive you. By this time, it's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, I don't even know what time it was. I go ahead. I put her wheelchair in the car. We put her in the car. I take her to her hotel. I left the car running and everything. I walked her to her room, came back out. The car was still there. Praise God. and I drove back. And that's why I didn't see you, Bradley, that night. That night, you was there with Danny, and I was supposed to be back, and I didn't make it back until super early, and then you guys left early also. So, that night, that's the adventure that I was on, that God took me on. It was amazing. It was just one thing after the other.
Dude, so. you are now John the Samaritan. John the Samaritan. Because I swear, I wondered, because I said, Danny, you can come and sleep on the floor, and I'm going to text John and make sure it's cool. We got up to leave like around 5, but you had just come back in the room like 30 minutes before we left. And I was like,
exactly.
All night. And so I knew I'd find out later, and I know you have more to tell because of the whole beach and what happened there. Like, I know that. But
that's another part of the story.
A whole other part. But I want to shoot it back to Greg, man, because it's like, I know based on what has transpired even this week. First of all, there was something that was on me when I left the conference because I had a list of people to get back in contact with. But there was something about Greg, man. It's like I gotta talk to this dude or something. It was just like on me. And so I had initially talked to him, and I was like, man, hey, let's just hop on the podcast like Tuesday night. And then something happened that was unexpected. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let him, talk about it if he wants to share it. But I know he has been challenged and blessed since leaving the conference, man. You want to talk a little bit about that? Okay.
Gregory, from up front, you said there's something about me. It's because I'm always thinking about what's next or how I can impact.
Let's go.
How I can, ideas all the time. I cannot help myself. I'm always diving into personal growth or word or something to help me grow. The whole time I was at the conference, there was this thing in me that came alive that said, I am not allowed to go to sleep until there is nobody else in sight to serve or to give a word to. And I did it everywhere. Like everywhere God told me to be, I was. And I ran into people and made connections with people that I didn't see why God was leading me to them until, and then like all of these pieces are starting to come together. Like even as you told your story, I'm like, Monica, yeah, of course, right? She got blessed the entire time she was there from beginning to end. And I'm hearing it and I'm like, she's such a blessing to others though. What her gift is being able to take your essence and distill it into one like 16-word sentence, basically.
Wow.
Every one of us have the same ability to see a vision about a person that they don't see about themselves. We just have different flavors of doing it. Like we have different ways we read the labels on each other's jars because we can't see them for ourselves. So the thing that happened with my spouse, so in 2005, I got meningitis. I've been telling her like when she gets these migraines, maybe it's meningitis coming back because it's a thing where the spinal fluid is in the brain. It swells and it just feels like what she said, the way she described it is almost like you have a vice on your head, like those kind of headaches, but it's the opposite. It's like your head is swelling and you need a vice on your head.
Oh.
So it feels like it's an infection in your spinal fluid. And so it's there with you, right? I was like, we should probably get that checked out because it might be it again. She's like, no, once you have it, you can't have it again. So I take her because it's been 3 days. She's been throwing up. She can't hold anything down. And like, you want to talk about the disruption following intention. I had literally that day, got the business bank account. I got the business savings. I got a financial advisor. I got a business credit card account, like all this stuff. And I'm coming home to tell my wife about it. And I'm like, we got to take you to the hospital. I don't go to the hospital. We just don't do that, right? We know it's going to be a bill. But something told me, I got to do this or I'm a loser. And that was heavy because like, I'm not trying to be out here like Job cussing God out because he took everything from me. Even if that were to happen, I know that it's all part of a plan, but I wasn't ready for that. So I first made an appointment with my doctor to see if he could take anyone new. Then when I told him what was going on, they were like, you got to take her to the ER. They're just going to tell you to go to the ER anyway. Took her to the ER thinking they're going to give her some medicine. She's going to feel better and we're going to go home. Nah, we were in the hospital till Friday afternoon around 2.
Wow.
So the whole week, my boss was like, don't worry about work at all. Like, don't even think about this. Take care of your wife. Had to cancel all of the meetings, all the podcasts, all of the everything I had. Just, it set me back. But what I did get a chance to do while I was there was show her what love looks like. Not, I wasn't doing it on purpose. I didn't even realize I was doing it. I just love her, right? But I forget that she's never had anyone there like that for her, that cared about her, that didn't treat her like a burden or an inconvenience. And I got to read Boss Moves. Now, I haven't been able to sit down and read that book since I got it months ago. But when I tell you, I invested in this King Solomon's Court. I dropped that $55K to be in that inner circle. And I could have got the same information that he's given out of that $30 book. You can have your audio program. You can have your course. You can have your year-long coaching, guiding program. You can have a VIP day. You can have, just a book. Either way, I'm still teaching the same principles. You're going to get the same transformation. We're just shortcutting the time every time. I needed a shortcut on the time. I needed the community. I'm paying for the community. Like the masterminds that happen in that community so far, just sitting in on a call and listening. I don't even have to have a question, just listening to how fluid these people are with solutions and business ideas and money and like the wins that people talk about. I'm like, everyone's doing this. Like, this is a real thing. When I came home, I was met with a brick wall of resistance. I got in trouble by my job for talking about things outside of work, for coming back overzealous about making changes and impossible goals. I was scaring people with little minds. And usually what would happen is I'd shrink back and I'd be like, oh yeah, I can't shine in here. Let me just go back to being little me. And what that actually did was said, you can't share these big ideas with these little minds. They're not ready for it. So you got to stay connected to the big minds that you just got in connection with, because those are the ones that are going to help you to flap those wings.
Right.
That are going to be the room where you can shine as bright as you need to shine. And that's what I did, is I just unplugged from all the places that weren't giving me energy. And I plugged into the places where I could give that energy. I could be a service. I can get the same that I give.
It's so much you packed into there that just I agree with, and it's congruent with what I'm trying to do. And I know it's what John is trying to do. The antennas that we have to now identify the people in our lives who have that type of mindset, who are willing to pour back in or listen to big ideas. And instead of saying, man, I don't think you can do that, or that can't be done, they're like, well, let me see if I can help you with that, or at least offer some suggestions or some encouragement on being able to move forward. One thing John told me when I spoke to him, he's like, man, I just want to stay connected with the people I'm at down. Like, let's just all communicate. Only a few people are chatting in it. But I was like, things pick back up. Like, we have to have the expectation when we come back home that disruption is going to hit, because you know who does not want us to be productive, and that's the enemy. But the Father created us to be productive. He already set everything up, but it's about the effort we put forth to connect, to remain connected, and then to produce and to multiply, which is what we're doing. And John, I wanted you to speak about, that experience that you said was a whole nother experience on the beach. But, you got a Samaritan's reward for helping all those people, man.
So just so that we have a better understanding, one of the things that I did not do was share too much of what had happened during the conference. I was very selective with who I shared it with, and I'm going to explain why. My morning ritual has Myron built in. So basically what I do is I wake up very early, I go to the gym, I come back home, I make my breakfast and I'll sit down and I do like a study session, right? So I'll watch one of his pieces and then I get to work. So when I was out in Texas, I did the routine with my cousin. That's when I found out about Offer Mastery Live. And my sister right away, she says, you have to go to that. I'm like, okay, yeah, I would love to go, but I don't know how I'm going to go, but I would love to go. And then I see an offer from Apple Pay, like Apple Card or whatever the case is, for like, apply for credit. So I'm like, all right, let me see. So I applied and I get $4,000. That's how I paid to be able to go, because if I'm going to go, Gregory, what are we going to do? We're not going to go small, right? So I went all in. When you logged in, it gave you the option, like click on the hotel and all this other stuff. Fast forward a little bit to that brick wall. What I found was I didn't share with very specific people. My sister happened to be here. So this is my wife, my sister, and my mom. And they're in their own little group. My mother started to speak ill about the decisions that I had made. Before I left, my mother has not visited or called or anything else. I grew up Catholic, what is this? Like, she doesn't approve and all these other things. So the interesting thing for me, I never felt compelled to share my testimony with her. Before she said it, I forgived her. I don't hold any resentment. If she, obviously my mother, she calls me today, I'm gonna be there. But it's interesting to me how the wall is not only a deterrent from you out, it's also from out in. That's interesting because our Father put a wall or guardrails around me to prevent these external things to affect me. Because it could affect me. That's my mother, right? It could affect me, but it didn't. My sister, she was very offended because she is a sister in faith as well. And she looked at it and she's like, I don't understand. I said, you have to remember that is exactly the type of person that you have to give love to. Because all she's doing is voicing her pain and anguish. So instead of us criticizing, what we have to do is embrace her. Yeah. Just give her love. Just understand that she doesn't know. She doesn't see it. Because my mother's very Catholic, but my mother hasn't been to church in how long? Like it's not a thing. Going back to the conference, I had the pleasure, honor, and privilege of spending that day with Brother Jarvis. We were just enjoying everything. Drop him off at the airport. And then I say, okay, I'm just going to go for a drive. And I ended up driving. We were in Tampa. I ended up driving west and I see clear water. And I ended up at the beach. And I'm at the beach. I had this beautiful server, really nice young sister that helped me out. We joked, we laughed. It was great. I enjoyed the sunset. And I'm like, I think it's time to go home. So I start driving down. So I start driving south on the West Coast. So I see the sunset. Beautiful. Got back on the road, crossed over to the east side. And it's about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. And I'm like, I don't think I want to go home. I made it to my parking lot, parked the car. And I'm like, Grabbed the towel, bathing suit, went straight to the beach. Made it to the beach, saw the sunrise. So mind you, saw the sunset on the West Coast, drove down and across to the East Coast, saw the sunrise. I have never experienced what I experienced that day. I'm sitting there. I just witnessed the glory of God by seeing this beautiful sunrise. I had just seen the sunset. And then I hear the singing and this rhythm, this gospel. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening? And I turn over to my right and I see a full-blown congregation doing baptisms right there on the beach. I wish you guys could really see, like I get goosebumps every time. And I'm like, I've been here for so long and I know it happens all the time. But for me, it was new. And I walk over there. The bishop that was there embraces me. You know, I tell him my story, my testimony. He's like, oh, this is beautiful. And I'm there in the midst of the divine right then and there. It's like, if you didn't believe and you wasn't sure, let me just make sure that you're sure about what this is. And I'm like, glory be to God. I'm okay. Yeah, I got it. It was too powerful.
When he told me about it, I couldn't believe it. He sent me a couple pictures and video from it. I was just like, okay. Like the way things formulated and just came together, as he stated, even up until now, man, it's all the miraculous movements by the Most High. And we know that he does things the way we don't do them. If we can figure him out and guess what he's going to do day by day, then he would cease to be who he is. So the appreciation and thankfulness for each day as it comes that we are in is so important. But Greg, absolutely, you had a story, man. I know I want to wrap up exactly with you hitting the beach, because it's just too much of a coincidence,
bro. It's so same story. My encounter at the beach was similar to yours, where I left the hotel and I said I'm gonna go to the beach. Then where the GPS dropped me off was in the middle of a street. There was no beach. There was no place to turn to go to one. I just kept driving. I was like, I'm gonna drive until I find a beach. So this is what I noticed, right? I didn't see sunset or sunrise, but what I did see was a perfect metaphor. And this is beautiful to end on now that I'm thinking about it. I'm glad that you let me in. So when God gives us an assignment, right? We are the only people that will doubt when we're called, that'll try to rationalize and look left and right and do whatever God said not to do, just because it doesn't make sense to us, right? So God, and they say, if you can't hear God, go to the last thing he told you to do and do it. And for some reason, that is so hard for us to do, because it doesn't feel good in the flesh. It doesn't make sense logically. It doesn't make sense rationally. None of it. And so I'm saying all this because I'm gonna wrap this up with this metaphor. So I noticed that people were walking their dogs on the beach. And they're playing with their dogs in the water on the beach. We don't have beaches up here. So when I play with my dogs, I'm tossing the toy in the backyard and they're running to get it and bringing it back. I've never seen a dog play fetch in the ocean. It was beautiful to watch though, because I noticed the metaphor as it was happening and I was so connected to the spirit. When I say that the baptisms that were happening on that roof opened something inside of me that wasn't open before, and like being in the presence of that, and y'all said like it started as just a little intimate thing and then it grew. Like I was trying to get food and then it just kept drawing people in. It was like a magnet. I watched this happen over and over again. Owner throws the ball. Dog, eyes on the ball, goes into the ocean, jumps in. Waves start crashing in on the dog. Dog jumps over waves, keeps going straight ahead. Doesn't look left, doesn't look right. Gets the ball. When he gets the ball, he lifts his head. He's proud. He slowly turns around and doggy paddles back. Comes back to his father, or its owner. Owner pets it on his head as if to say, good boy. Let's do it again. And that's how God does us, right? Like, I gave you an assignment. You're going to tell me it's too hard. I'm going to say jump over the waves. Do whatever you must to get to that assignment, to get to that thing I told you was there for you, right? I threw it for you. All you have to do is go for it, no matter what. Don't look left, don't look right. Don't wonder how you're walking on water, right? Just get it. Get the wealth first, right? Get the money first, and then come back and get your people. Then come back and get your family. But you have to become the kind of person that goes and gets it, because not everyone's going to come with you. Not everyone's going to understand at that level. So you have to go get it first so you can hold your head high and come back and be like, look what I did. I got it. I'm showing you I did it. And he's like, good boy. Now next level. But I watched that happen over and over again. And I thought, man, I wonder where I am in this process. Am I the dog that's just sitting there looking at the water like, nope, not getting in that? Or am I the one that, I get in and then the waves start pushing me back. And I'm like, well, I guess I can't get it. I see it, but I can't get it because like the waves are pushing me back when all I got to do is jump over. There's other things in life where I've been that, go get it no matter what, come back. But I'm at this point of entrepreneurship, right? The waves are starting to come in. Am I going to jump? Am I going to go for it? Am I going to come back with a result? Or am I just going to look at the ocean and say, that's too big. I can't do it. That's too hard.
It's a powerful metaphor to let resonate in the minds and in the ears of those who are listening to this, because I'm sure if everyone analyzes their lives currently where they are, they can see obstacles and they can see challenges, because there is no life that is devoid of these things. Sooner or later, they're going to come. What we tend to know universally is that life gets hard. If it ain't hard immediately, it will be hard later. But we do know that there are seasons that were ordained since the beginning. And there is no tough season that lasts always. It's only coming to make you stronger for the good that's coming. And then that will prepare you for the better. Just like what you said, Gregory. You come back, you bring the assignment back to the Father, then he sends you out on another one. And he sends you out on another one. And every time you do that, you're not doing it for yourself. You're just getting stronger, but you're doing it for those who may be just looking at the waves, who maybe don't have the tenacity to go after and get it. But if they see you do it, then they might have enough strength and enough willpower to finally go and get the ball themselves, whatever it may be. So I want to thank you, gentlemen, again, for joining me tonight. Like I said, there are plenty of other brothers and sisters who could have joined us, but the right group of brothers came together tonight organically. And that's what I'm loving, and that's what I'm pleased with. I know you guys have your contact information. I'm going to be posting in the comment section. And I just want everybody who's watching this to know this is just still the genesis of something incredible. I don't even know what I got my hands on. All I know is that it's growing before my eyes. I'm doing what my father told me to do. I'm going to get that ball, and I'm going to keep bringing it back to him because I will be successful. I will bring everybody with me because no man gets left behind. And I know that's the same type of mindset that both of you brothers have.
I love the metaphor. The only thing that I would say that was the first thing that came to mind is that this too shall pass. So regardless of whatever the circumstance is, just bear that in mind.
May I offer a reframe? You said I will be successful and I will bring everybody with me. May I offer a reframe that'll shift your perspective?
Come on.
Let's go. Come on.
Anything that follows I am has to manifest. Anything that follows I will has to stay in the future. June 15th, 2025. Are you still I willing or are you I aming?
Let's go.
I am successful.
I am
taking everyone with
I am
me.
taking everybody with me.
Let's go.
Man, I love it.
Let's go.
I'm not going to add no more to it. Hey, look, this has been the BTonez podcast. You already know what it is. You done got a good word. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Do what you got to do. And we're going to catch you on the next one. We out.
Yes.